status, and anyone would like to give some money, and it will be used to fly women over from here, young women, so that they can come back and help form and join Melinda and a feminist movement to fight against pornography. And by the way, I have to tell you, in terms of what we're up against, it is a $97 billion a year industry. Stop Porn Culture, which is the only feminist organisation in America stopping porn, is banned, well, solely by me, right? The only person who's ever given money. Oh, I've had one other person who's given a few $100s, but other than that, the whole thing. So this is what we're up against. We're up against organisations. We have no money, and I'm sure the same thing with you, Melinda, no money whatsoever.
Gail, thank you for this morning. It's been a real joy to hear your passion for it, I think. I'm an urban pastor of a church in Sydney. I'm looking forward to pushing this boulder with you. I was just curious about what religious affiliations or organisations have actually supported you in the past. Considering it's been, when you read a lot of this, it's a lot of the feminist movement is driving it forward.
Okay, that's a good question. The first question from the moderator on the Sydney Writers' Festival was something like, so Gail Dines, what's it like being in bed with the Christian right? That's what she said to me. And I answered, I have to tell you, as a left-wing Jewish Marxist, I'm not appealing to the Christian right. They don't want to be in bed with me, they'll be anywhere near me. So first of all, okay. Now, let me tell you, in America, the religious groups are not like the religious groups here. You're really dealing with a kind of crazy misogyny in a lot of places for some of the Christian right. And what happened, and not all of them, I might add, some of them also are doing really good work against that. But what happened when my book came out was that I got a lot of email from the Christian right, from the radio stations, saying, we'd love to have you on our show, will you be on our show? And I was fine, I'm happy to talk feminism anywhere. And I would send my book, never hear from them again. I didn't do one Christian right show. They don't want me, right? Because we are feminists, and we're not giving up that feminist analysis. So basically, we haven't had any work with any religious movement, you know. And there are progressive Christians. I mean, you know, and they certainly exist in America, but they haven't taken this on. So basically, it's been a feminist movement. That's it. Impoverished feminists fighting a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. Yeah.
I just thought you might want to comment. I'm a student. Social work student, and I'm doing focus groups with young women 14 to 26, and I've been looking at agencies that work with young women, what's the current issue around sexual safety, and a lot of them have said sexting is the biggest thing. Yeah. So 14-year-olds going out with 18-year-old guys, pressuring them to send sexy photos, or even on the web and things like that. So we were trying to come up with a way to talk to the girls during the focus groups about how to keep themselves safe from that sort of thing. Yeah, it's really hard.
It is. You know why? Because they live in an image-based culture. That's why. And when you think about it, for them, if they want to be real in the world, how are you real in a media-based culture? You take images of yourself. What a lot of them don't understand is where these images are going to end up. But let me tell you how hideous it is in America. In the United States of America, what they've done is when girls have sexted themselves and sent images to their boyfriends, they have put them into a sex offender program for sending child pornography. So we've got girls of 14, 15 with sex offenders in these programs. I mean, how much more ridiculous can it be when you're basically victimizing the victims? So I think it's very, very important to talk about those. But that has to be, I would say, within the whole framework of a media literacy program as well, because this is a bigger issue about teaching them how to decode images critically. And we do that also. If you go on Stop Porn Culture, we have a slideshow, 2 of them, one of which would be more useful for young girls. And you can, what we did is it's downloadable free, it comes with a script and it comes with images. And we say use it as you wish, tear it apart if need be, but that could be a really good educational tool for you with these young girls. Yes?
Gail, thanks again. The women are huge victims in this, but from the people that I know, the men are just massive victims as well. And if $96 billion is being invested to make me and my friends and young men, heaps younger than me, addicted to this stuff, that is a massive river to swim against. And like I've been going to churches, I go to schools and talk to parents about how to keep their kids safe online. I go to talk to boys about how to live in this world, a world we've never lived in before, where you don't even have to be searching for hardcore porn to get it. It comes straight to you, and the techniques that are used are so tricky and embedded into pages. But I don't know how to protect boys, when I'm speaking to them, who are naturally curious, as we all are, about sexuality, as we're exploring this. Because when I type in stuff about sex now, it's bad, as you illustrated. And I don't know how we enable and inform and help boys who are going to go out and will look for this stuff in this culture.
Okay, so I think we need a bigger curriculum than just pornography, okay, to do that. I think it needs to be, pornography needs to be embedded in a discussion around sexual integrity, right, which we don't talk about for boys. When do we ever talk about males having some sexual integrity? And I tell you what I do with my students. I say to them, imagine that you're out with a guy and you really like him and there's been no attempt at any sex. And then you make a move and he says, you know, I really like you, but I'm not yet ready to commit to you sexually. What would you think? Deathly silence. And then they say, he's gay. That's what we think. He's gay. Because it is impossible for us in a society like this, because masculinity today has been defined, literally, I'm going to be crude, with how many women you can fuck. The more women you fuck, the more masculine you are. So I don't think you can just talk about pornography. You have to talk about masculinity. You have to talk about the pressures on young boys to be male, on the culture telling them that this is what it means to be male. Because we know from study after study that masculinity is not good for boys. Right? The more masculine they are, the more they're likely to have depression, they're more likely to get involved in risky behaviour, the less able they are to make connections with human beings. So what I would like to see, not just sex ed, I would like to see gender equality education. And part of that is allowing boys, because I'm telling you, when we brought up our son, we had masculinity front and centre in our house to be deconstructed all the time. So that every message that was coming at him about don't show your emotions, be macho, we were there with, you know, can you believe this? They're trying to socialise you into something that's so bad for you. And we would talk about that. So he would have that language from a very, very early age. And he would come home complaining at 6 or 7 that his friends were sexist, and we would talk about it. So it was so important to have that language because he could name it when he was around it. And what happens, and this is what you have to do, you give kids kind of a dual consciousness. Because the one thing is, our kids need to survive in the world, so you can't make them different to everybody else. But you give them a dual consciousness so that while they're in that world, they're deconstructing it automatically. Right? So that's what happens. So I would say go bigger than pornography. Get into masculinity, get into sexual integrity, get into gender, get into a right for them to own their own sexuality. That's how I would go about it.
Gail, I was at Q&A last night. My name's Gail, I'm a private chair, and I was really concerned at the level of humour that seems to be around the issue of porn. And also on the panel, people who can't find porn if they're not hurt. These are the class system about maybe best thinkers or on the panel for a reason, and they can't find porn on, you know, they find some gentle porn. I don't know what that looks like, but anyhow, maybe their internet wasn't plugged in. But what I'm saying, I just can't understand this joke culture about it when there's people like these gentlemen who are working with young men who have serious issues. You know, we've had a story of, you know, what is that all about? Why a big joke about it?
And I felt exactly the same way. You see, I'm in this awful position because everyone sees me as the angry, dour feminist anyway. Right? So I have to kind of play this very careful line, but I'm sitting there simmering the same thing. Because what I really wanted to say is, you know what this sounds like? I said, this is exactly as if we had a bunch of whites on a panel sniggering about racist imagery. You wouldn't do that. Right? You have enough consciousness to know if you were on TV, even if you are a racist, you'd have to hide it. But here you had a bunch of sexists and, you know, the females who were buying into their worldview, sniggering about pornography. And it just shows you, and I was thinking about this on the way home, and, you know, Andrea Dworkin, who wrote the book really about pornography, you know, she said, as soon as you sexualise violence against women, you render the violence invisible. So here they all are, sniggering about something that was so important in women's lives. And I have to say, I sat there and it was going through my head, what do I do? And at one point I did say, this is all very funny and everything, but let's talk more seriously. But then it got hijacked again completely, and it was all sniggering and nudge and all the boys together, you know. And then, of course, what was interesting was the guy next to me, Brendan, I don't know, I was thinking about this afterwards, he's talking about his novel, where he's writing about these boys having sex with a prostitute. Do you remember? And he said this novel is about the boys and the effects. And I'm thinking, yeah, and who's going to tell the prostitute story? Where's her story? You know, nobody cares about her story. So you had all of that kind of macho boy posturing yesterday. Absolutely, yeah. From women, from gay men, from straight men. You know, pornography was the great equaliser last night. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to sign some books and carry on the conversation in a less formal way. So anyway, thank you very much. It made me feel much better this today after all that's gone on.